Hello and welcome to FlutterFlow Academy. Today we will have a look at actions. In the first part of this video, we will tell you what actions are and why they are important for your app development. After that, we will add, reorder, copy, and delete actions. And in the end, you should know everything there is to know about actions in FlutterFlow. So now, let's take a big sip of our coffee and get started. When you hear the word action, you probably already know what an action in FlutterFlow is. Well, action means that something should happen. And because we are building an app for users, something should happen when a user interacts with our app. So actions help us in handling user gestures. For example, when a user taps on a button and we want to display some text that pops up. Or for example, if you build a restaurant app and a user taps on a menu item and you want some more nutritional information about this specific menu item popping up on the user's screen. At first, let's take a look at which types of actions we can use. To do that, let's drag a button onto our empty scaffold. For that, I will go over here into my UI builder and I will look for a button. Then I'll take a button and drag it onto my empty scaffold. If we now look at this right side of our screen, you can see this little menu up here where you can select different icons. The first icon says properties, but the second symbol, the little mouse, this says actions. After you navigated to the actions part, you already see a big button that says add action. FlutterFlow does not trick us here. That is the button. Let's click on it. And here we already can see a list of 3 types of actions: on tap, double tap, and on long press. I don't think we need to get into great detail which type of action means. Of course, on tap is the most common one, and from my experience, it always is the best option, because the other 2 can be a little irritating for a user to use. So apart from these 3 actions that most of the widgets actually have, there are also 2 types of actions that are specific to certain widgets. The onSubmit type of action that can be applied to a text field widget, and the onPageLoad, as well as the onPhoneShake for scaffold. The onSubmit action will be called when a user indicates that he's done with editing the text of the text fields, and the onPageLoad action is triggered as soon as the page loads. And while the onPhoneShake is triggered as soon as the user shakes their phone. It's pretty fun to use, so give it a try on your phone. But now let's get back to these 3 most common use cases. Now we know which types of actions there are. Or to put it into other words, which specific interactions from a user we can fetch and work with. So now let's talk about the trigger of an action. However, our goal is to trigger an action. For example, when we select the onTap type of action, as it is selected here on my screen. We want a specific thing to happen in our app. Luckily, FlutterFlow already has a ton of actions available. We can see them right below our types of actions. For example, we can navigate to a specific page. If I would have more pages in my app right here, they would pop up here. But navigation is not the only one. We can also do some fun stuff with our databases. As an example, create a record, update a record, or delete a record. But as you can see, if you scroll down a bit, there's tons of actions that can be triggered. As an example, a Stripe payment that is activated. This video is far too short to get into great details about all of these actions. If you want a detailed explanation about some of these actions, leave us a comment below. For now, let's try to show a snackbar as soon as the user taps on the button. We already have selected the onTap type of action. Now we only need to find the show snackbar action. For that, you can just go into the search bar and type in snackbar. And just after I type snack, show snackbar turns up. Let's click it. Now you can see I selected show snackbar onTap as my action 1. Now we have to give a value, a message that is displayed in our snackbar message. For testing purposes, let's just give it a text, you clicked a button. For that, I will type in, you clicked a button. So now let's change some more style elements about the snackbar message. What about the background color? For now it is unset, but let's give it a value. Let's give it a nicer color. Click on the unset and select the color that you would like. I will select a really red color. Now click use color. Also, my text color is unset. I want my text color to be white. I just click on the little color icon in the corner, move it to white, and click use color. Now my text color is set to white and my background color is set to red for my snackbar message, which is on tab as my action 1. And well, all we have to do now is really preview it in the app. So let's click on run up here in the top right corner. Now, after you've clicked on run, a second window should have opened up. Inside of this window, make sure that you can see your whole app screen. If the screen is too small, you will not see the snackbar message. But now, let's click on the button and see what happens. And there it is. You click the button, our snackbar message. Now you also realize why you have to really see the whole screen, because the message is just down here at the bottom of the screen. But let's click the button again and see the magic happen. Boom, there's our message. But for the last part of this video, let's have a quick look at all the other functionalities that FlutterFlow offers with actions to make our life easier. Let's go back to the FlutterFlow editor. First of all, we can, of course, delete an action. When we click on the 3 dots next to the text that says action 1. So let's go on the button again. And let's click on the 3 dots right here next to action 1. And there you see you can copy the action, but you can also delete the action. If I would now click on the red remove button, the action would be gone. But we don't want to delete the action yet. Let's click on cancel. If you click on the 3 dots again, you also see a second option that is far more interesting. It's the copy action option. Let's click on that option. Let's click on copy action. Now the action is copied. But now let's drag another button from our UI builder onto the screen. For this next button, I will add a row. So we see there is a difference between the 2 buttons and they're not right next to each other. Now to make the difference between the 2 buttons even more obvious, let's go to the second button, navigate on the right hand side down to the fill color, click on fill color, and let's make it green. Let's click on use color and you can see we have 2 different buttons. Once the 2 colors are done, we can click on our second button and navigate up here on the right hand side menu back to actions, which is the second icon. If you hover over it, it says actions. Now the action menu opens up again, but you will notice a difference here to the action menu we saw earlier in the video. We don't just have the big blue button that says add action. We also now have the opportunity to paste an action. If I now click paste action, you see my action 1 from the first button just appeared here in my action menu. And trust me, after FlutterFlow added this functionality, I got like twice as fast in developing my applications as before. It is a real game changer that you can copy and paste actions between items. Now, there's only one last thing we need to talk about: reordering actions and adding multiple actions. As you might have already noticed, there is an action flow editor up here, where there's also a blue button that says open. So let's click on open and see what happens. If you now click on open, this menu should have opened up. Here we can add multiple actions and manage them. To add another action, let's just click on the plus below our first action. So in the middle of the screen, you see action 1, show snackbar, and here we can click on a little plus. As you can see now, we once again have the option to either add an action or paste an action. In the middle, you can also see that we can add a conditional. If you're interested in conditionals, just check out our video about them. But for now, let's click on add action, the first option of the 3. And now let's select launch URL from all of these actions over here, which you can find a bit down there, launch URL. So now let's click on launch URL. This action is pretty simple, and all we have to do is to add a URL, which is, for us, of course, the URL of the one and only FlutterFlow. So go into URL, Command V, and voila, there is flutterflow.io. And here you go. Now you have two actions. At first, our program will trigger a snackbar, and after that, launch a URL. If you want to change the order, which in our case would make no sense at all, we can use the up and down arrows, which you can see here in these little corners. So if I click Move Action Up, you can see the order changes. But like I mentioned, it doesn't make a lot of sense, so let's click on the arrow down. Now they're in the right order again. You might ask yourself what a good use case is for multiple actions in one button. After all, a user should always have a good idea what happens when he presses a button. Well, our example already makes a lot of sense. When we direct a user to a web page, it will always be nice to tell the user beforehand. This can be done through, like we did it, a snackbar. So as an example, you say you're redirected to FlutterFlow before you redirect the user to FlutterFlow, so he knows where he's going. The only thing we should have in mind when we do something like this is always to add a delay, or even better, an alert dialog asking for consent between the two actions. Otherwise, the user will not have the chance to read the snackbar or accept the conditions. To add a really good delay, you just click on the first action, Show Snackbar, then you navigate down here, and here you have a duration, so how long the action kind of takes. We have our duration set up to full 10,000 milliseconds, and make sure it's really up so the user has time to read it. Alright, that's it for today. Now you know all there is to know about the basics of actions. What a type of an action is, how to add an action, how to delete and how to reorder them, and also what a great use case for them might be. And also don't forget to shoot us some video ideas in the comments down below. We want to make videos for you. But now, have a great day. Thank you for watching and happy flutterflowing.